Felicia Marcus, who needs no introduction, but she is the William C. Landreth Visiting Fellow at Stanford University's Water in the West. She's a consultant and founding member of the Water Policy Group, as well as a fellow of the National Academy of Public Administration. Prior to that, you might have remembered her as the chair of the State Water Board back in days when we had some water issues. And here's a picture of her from those days. And take it away, Felicia.
Great.
Do you have slides? Or...
I do not. I'm just going to talk. So whatever you want to show, either that picture or
we're going to you.
All right. There I am.
And we'll, yes, we will walk away here while you.
Great. I'm seeing you on my screen. Is that, I still see you on my screen. Is there something I should be doing? I can start talking as you set it up, because seeing me is probably less important than hearing me this morning. Can you hear me?
I can. I just was muted by saying yes.
Okay, terrific. And then you'll do something so that people see me in more than the little, oh, you can see and hear me too. That's odd. All right. Well, good afternoon, water polluters. I'm happy to be here with you. Thanks for rejoining this always fun ride through the world of water. You know, as Peter Glick said yesterday, it is the start of a new water year. Sorry, it is the start of a new water year, and 2020 is one we won't miss for more reasons than we ever thought we would have to count. I want to start off by saying you should all go online at the break or afterwards and look at the excellent op-ed written by Peter Glick that is appearing this morning, at least online, in the LA Times. It is a perfect piece to encapsulate where we are and where we need to go. You've heard from some other great speakers as well on a range of subjects, some perennial and some innovative and new. My assigned title, as you may have seen, is Drought and its Discontent. So I'm going to start off today with some thoughts about how we should be thinking about the current drought. You know, the bottom line, and this is in Peter's piece too, is that we have to do more than think about it, and we have to do more than talk about it, which Californians are the masters of. We need to actually act upon it in ways we simply have not had the vision or the stomach for, but which are actually completely within our grasp. Our challenge isn't technical, it's not economic, it's not legal, it's about attitude and gumption. And we need all the gumption that we can get right now. You know, you've all heard me talk at times about the 2012 through 2016 drought. I've called it the worst drought in modern California history, the Godzilla of all wake-up calls, the wake-up call of wake-up calls that we can't press the snooze button on, and frankly, the specter of climate change precipitated droughts to come more frequently. Yesterday on a call, I actually referred to it as my drought to distinguish it from what we're facing today. This one is worse. It came on faster, driven by unprecedented heat and the duration of heat waves. So Jennifer's chart is exactly perfect, and I want a copy of that. It has left us in a world of hurt in only the second dry year in a row, which is unheard of and in some ways unimaginable, because the California system in general is supposed to be able to handle a 3 to 4 year drought. Well, why is that? It's because we haven't recovered from the last one. We still deliver precious water from reservoirs based on water rights and agreements that never envisioned the new realities that we face. We still overpump our groundwater basins and empty our reservoirs in the hope that next year will be better. There's something a little endearing about that, I have to say, but there's a lot that's terrifying. So it was crazy hot, which is really something to put an exclamation point on, but not unprecedented hot, but it was crazy hot. So even the same degree of precipitation evaporated before it even hit the ground. It evaporated off the ground in a word known as sublimation, which I had never heard before in that context. It evaporated out of foliage. You know, we've had record fires and the season's not over yet. And we've had record low runoff for that reason. We have communities out of water again before we've been able to fix our system structurally for them. And fish and wildlife, as usual, are being hammered by the lack of water and by the temperatures themselves. Now, hydrology is always highly variable in California, and every year can be the first or second year of a 10, 20, or 30-year drought. The geophysical record reflects that we've had droughts of 40 and 400 years in the past 1,000 years, but we've had a relatively wet 100+ years that we base all of our thinking on. And that should have changed by now. It hasn't changed as much as it should, and it has to change to thinking of drought as a far more regular occurrence. As I told someone recently, in California hydrology, every year is a roll of the dice, but with climate change, the dice are loaded. And they're loaded towards drier and more frequent dries, punctuated by heavy downpours that we also have to prepare for. And that's useful for us because there are parts of the world that won't see downpours, like South Africa, where it just gets drier and they have to deal with that. We at least have a shot at capturing some of those wet times, particularly to get into the ground as fast as we can. So that's what temperature does. It makes those extremes more extreme, as each degree of temperature rise has the atmosphere holding 7% more water. And you can imagine what that does when it finally lets loose. And so you end up with those kind of wetter wets and drier dries with some temperature change. That's what temperature does. And it also robs us of the snowpack in general over time that we need for storage to help us get through a season or even a few years. They're feeling this big time in the North Coast, and our friends in Mendocino, Sonoma, and Marin counties need our sympathy and support as this drought hit them first and hit them hard. Here at home, the rest of the Bay Area is not immune. And while some communities have more senior water rights to imported water than others, there's a need to step up the pace of conservation, recycling, and stormwater capture of all kinds, and a need to own the impact of those imports, those extractions from the natural system on the fish and wildlife that are a heritage that we share as Californians. Those of you who care about a sustainable Silicon Valley need to step it up on conservation, especially as Valley Water has lost so much storage at Anderson Reservoir as they do needed seismic repairs. And you need to support their efforts to expand their advanced recycled water program that you'll hear about later today from Hossein. Ditto for whatever water agency you get your water from. Tell them to conserve, to recycle more, to capture stormwater. Do your part and tell them that you also care about the watersheds that your water comes from and that you don't want to be a part of making salmon or other species go extinct. So there's a lot to do and a lot to be worried about at home and throughout the state. Okay, that's the discontent part. So I've done my job, but there is stuff we can do about it. We're not powerless. You've heard or will hear about some great innovative and visionary work during Palooza time, efficiency of all kinds, particularly transitioning away from lawns and fixing leaks will get urban California a long way. Add stormwater capture and recycling, which are both on hyperdrive in Southern California, and you can really have a lot of comfort. You'll hear about the amazing on-site recycling leadership at Google and other places, and you'll also hear about their new Moonshot water plan today, and you heard about other great efforts in technology and on-site reuse yesterday as well. In other encouraging news, compared to past years, we have far more state investment than we had. We now have resources at the state level to help implement the state's human right to water aspirations that we didn't have a few years ago. So the disadvantaged communities have the same shot at safe water and sanitation as the rest of us. We also have a lot of funding for climate resilience in this budget. And we'll need to invest it wisely to combat the sea level rise that's going to bring a wave of pain to the Bay. Hopefully, we'll be able to do it with creative nature-based solutions to restore wetlands and get more bang for the buck. You'll hear about some of that and have heard about some of that yesterday. And they not only get more bang for the buck, they also are balm for the soul as they give us needed open space and wildlife habitat. That's also work that's being palooza'd during this meeting. So We're not talking quite as much about sharing our rivers with fish and wildlife this year, which is the issue on which we need far more light and far less heat, and which breaks my heart. We all own that problem, as I alluded to before, and we all need to step it up there too. We also have to think about the entire watersheds from which we draw our water. We need to connect with the people up there and invest in forest restoration that prevents catastrophic conflagrations that emit carbon like a Roman candle and foul our waterways and fill our reservoirs with sediment. We can do all of this, but we have to do it faster, with greater resource investment, great innovation, and by not taking water for granted anymore. So enjoy this second day of Waterpalooza, get inspired, and then go out and fix the world. Thanks a lot, Dennis, and thanks, Jennifer.
Thanks.